Please rise for the pledges. I pledge allegiance. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please be seated. Item C is the invocation. I do not see Pastor Joe Rangel here, so please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for coming in, joining us tonight. Thank you for bringing us all here together to do the good work of this city that we love so much. Help us to be wise, work together, do everything we can for the citizens and for the whole community. All things in your name we pray. Amen. Item D is audience participation. That is covered on the screen. If there is an item that is posted on the agenda you would want us to speak about, please, there's a list right by the police chief. You can fill that in for any item that is on the agenda you're allowed to speak. Consent agenda. 2A is action regarding minutes of March 4th. 2B is action regarding approval of purchase of vehicle exhaust extraction system for Fire Station 2. 2C is action regarding approval of the interlocal agreement with North Texas Council of Governments for tire collection event. Any questions, comments on the consent agenda? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion we approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you, Paul. Valerie, second. Motion passes. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum this evening. Thank you all for coming, folks. Item 3A is employee recognitions and presentations. Gabe, what do we have?
Mayor, Council, we don't have any recognitions this evening, but I believe our next meeting we will have a presentation from Code Compliance related to our employee suggestion program. So stay tuned.
So that's it? Nothing else? You got something, Pedro? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, moving on to 3B, recognition of an inaugural Saginaw Academy class. Pedro Zambrano.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you recall, the work plan that you adopted in 2024 included the creation of the Saginaw Citizens Academy. It was created due to the fact that MIAC was such a great success, where we had our high school students come in and they learned about behind the scenes of local government, and a lot of them were very much educated. And I believe it was about 2 years ago, one of those students talked to Mary Copeland and discussed about potentially doing this for adults, and that's why we had that in the 2024 work plan project. We just completed our first class. We're looking forward to having maybe an additional one this year. First, we want to look at their feedback, not only for our participants, but from our departments. So we first started here at City Hall, where they learned about finance and city administration. Then we moved on to our rec center. And from there, we learned about public safety with our police and fire. And then we moved on to public works, animal shelter, and the last one, I believe, was building permits and inspections, which I think the biggest one there was not only the building permits and inspection team, but the building itself. You know, the depot is a very nice little spot, so I think they got a tour afterwards of it, but I had to leave a little early. So at this time, I just want to recognize the 3 students who started with us and completed it. Yeah, it's a very small class, but I think it was very well to have a very small class for guinea pigs. So we want to thank them, one, to be our guinea pigs, and we're going to take all their feedbacks so we could make this program even better. So when we have a bigger academy, we'll be we'll be set and be ready. So when I call your name, can you just step up and we're going to take a picture afterwards? If the mayor afterwards, can you come up and take a picture? So we have Brian Peters. So fun fact about Brian is actually a very new resident in Saginaw. I believe October, yes. October he moved to Saginaw. And we next have Judy Deller. And last we have Randolph, and Randy, I'm not gonna pronounce your last name because I keep forgetting how to pronounce it correctly. So we could take a picture, and Glenn, can I ask you to take a photo for us? So we could we're gonna be here. We're gonna face this way.
podium.
Thank you, sir. Oh, yes. One thing I completely forgot, Randy actually did a suggestion for us, I think about the solicitor's information. So his idea, he said, at one of our meetings, he brought up, hey, it's getting nice weather out, can we make a suggestion to send out some solicitation information? And that's what we did on our social media and our water bills. So that's actually a suggestion from one of our Saginaw Academy participants. So we're already in work, and I really hope, the first meeting I had them, Judy asked the question, what's the goal for this? And I told her, so we could see you potentially on a board or commission in the future. So hopefully these three names appear in your docket for the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pedro. Well done. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I was fortunate enough to be able to attend all of the meetings, and I felt really proud of the participants, and I know they enjoyed it. And for anybody watching, if you would please consider joining the next class. It's such a good way to find out how cities operate and answer a lot of questions that you would not even known to ask. And also, I think it will be a very good ability to cause more voters. The more people get involved and learn about the city, the more likely they will vote. So I think it's a great program, and I think it will only grow and improve. So thank the three of you for attending.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, we do hope this is the start of something new and fantastic for us. So we look forward. We appreciate y'all willing to jump in and give us some feedback. All right, moving on. Item number 4, business. Consideration and action regarding approval of professional service agreement with Quorum Architects for update and evaluation of animal shelter needs assessment. Assistant City Manager Lee Howell.
Thank you, Mayor. As the council is well aware, about 2 years ago, we hired an architectural firm to come in and do a needs assessment, which included cost estimates for a potential future animal shelter for the city. Fast forward to the last few months, and bond committee appointed by yourself took a look at that need of an animal shelter and actually ranked it number 1 out of 21 separate projects that they reviewed. And the needs assessment, specifically one of the value options suggested by the needs assessment with a cost estimate, was the basis of a cost estimate for today at this snapshot in time by the bond committee going forward to recommend for a potential bond election. So we have now brought in another expert architectural firm, and we have Kim Dowdy Hickman with us today from Quorum Architects, which is home office here in Fort Worth. They are a well-known expert in animal care facilities and with a long track record, which I've listed some of in your backup material. We have asked Ms. Dowdy Hickman to come in and go review or potentially review the animal arts needs assessment and the cost estimates, and kind of give us a second opinion in regards to the cost estimate and what was recommended in the shelter for a new shelter. So she is available to answer any questions you might have, and I can fill in some other gaps if there's any questions that you have, but I'd like to ask him to come up and just address you briefly.
Please. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kim with Quorum Architects. I've been with the company since 2006, so really since 2006. We have done over 100 animal shelters throughout the state of Texas.
Okay.
So I'm here to answer questions. Like Lee said, we are out of Fort Worth. I live in Haslett, so I am through your city every single day. So I'm here to help you guys where we can.
All right, folks, questions? Mary, go ahead.
I was wondering if you have a time frame on how long it might take you to get through these two propositions if we approve both options?
For the actual needs assessment, just for evaluation, that would just take me about a month, maybe
Okay.
a month and a half at the most. To do the option 2 of going in, doing conceptual design, as well as putting another cost estimate to it, that would take me probably at the most 2 months
Okay.
on that. So it's a quick study.
Thank
So Animal Arts has already done a lot of the work. They have already worked with staff closely on that to come up with your program of needs. So we can take that as a starter point, but then we can also take a step back and reevaluate that with staff, because, you know, things change, users change over time, so different thought process. So we'll take a step back and just make sure what we're doing is right for the city of Saginaw.
Okay. Folks,
I have a-
other questions?
I have a comment.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
kind of been mentioned 2 or 3 times that we probably won't do a bond until around 27, or that's when we should about. And so my concern is if we do this, another needs assessment, it's going to be a little while. So shouldn't we wait till we get closer to when we think what we're going to do and be able to fund it? I'm not against the animal shelter. I know we need a new one, but I think right now we're kind of, we
Who said-
tabled it for a
Who said we weren't
reason.
doing one till 27?
No, that's what was mentioned about 2 or 3 times, that we should wait a while to do a bond.
To not do a bond election until 27, you mean?
Yeah.
We said dump it, push it to this November, right? That's what council talked about, November of 2025.
That was the motion that was
Yeah.
made.
On
But-
2025?
I don't think anybody ever said 27. Maybe not start building it till then or something, but nobody ever said a bond election in 27. Not that I recall.
There was talk. in one of
There
the
was
council-
talk about
There
it.
was talk in the council meeting about should we have another bond election before some of the others fall
Yeah.
off?
Yeah.
But there was never no
We never said-
motion made to do
Yeah,
that.
we
No,
never
there
said
wasn't any
20%.
motion made or anything, but it was mentioned, so I'm just wondering
Yeah,
why
it
we're
was
doing
mentioned.
another needs assessment if we, you know what I mean? So, just-
I'm not patient enough to put it off to 2027. Let's do it now or don't do it at all, period.
Well, I do have some questions, though. I mean,
Well, just on that, before that, I mean, if we wait till 2027 to approve this, it's gonna be 2029 before we even start construction. We can't wait that long. I mean, it's
Yeah.
past its prime.
so, yeah, on that, if you do have a bond election, it don't immediately kick in till we send
Fund
that
it.
out, till we fund it, right?
Right.
Kim, I mean,
Right, the bond election is just approvals from the voter
Approval
to
to
issue
the
debt.
voters,
It's
yeah.
not actually,
so what that does is say we're gonna do it, so what you're worried about is us stacking 2 bonds on top of the citizens at one time having to pay for them. So even if
Yes.
it does get voted, we could still say, okay, we don't want to service those for that long. Do you see what I'm saying?
yes.
And that way, other stuff can get done so that when 2027 comes, we're ready to, absolutely ready to.
We just have a lot
If-
going
if-
on right
if
now,
we do.
yeah.
But I got some just general questions, if it's okay, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, one, and I've asked this a few times, so I guess I'll go over it, is, one, we know we need to do something with our animal shelter. It's an end of life.
We know what we need.
Okay, that we know. I mean, it's, anybody who's come over and looked at our animal shelter, you know, it's bad. But the thing is what, have we looked, other than, oh, we can't, have we looked at, entering into a contract with other cities around here to us have an animal thing, but we pay them to, us take our animals to them. So we don't even build an animal shelter. Now, I've asked that a couple different times, so I'd just like to see some data on that. I mean, not that it is or is not, but I'd like it dispelled. If that's not a good approach, why ain't it? What's it gonna cost me?
We haven't formally asked anyone.
Yeah.
We've discussed it verbally with a couple of different shelters, including Fort Worth.
Yeah,
And under the current climate of crowded animal shelters in every direction. Nobody was really interested in entertaining it. You know, there are probably some private shelters around that we could solicit some bids from, but frankly, I don't know that we would get the kind of service that you need to get to handle our daily activities. The other day, for instance, our animal service group handled 70 different calls in one weekend.
Yeah. Now, I'm not talking about servicing the calls, so we would keep the employees we got, we'd go out, we'd gather that, but instead of us having an actual animal shelter store 'em, we would pay to have them house them.
Yeah, we can do whatever you'd like us to explore.
Well, I'm just asking.
But we have not formally
Yeah.
approached anybody on that for a written bid.
Yeah, I mean,
Nick, you think that'd be cheaper? Is that your whole hypothesis in that?
maybe, I don't know, because then we don't have, one, we don't have to build a building, two, we don't have to do maintenance on the building, right? So to me, it's at least a question worth asking and getting an answer for.
We can have, every animal shelter, the people that I've talked to, their animal shelters are as full or fuller than
Yeah.
ours. So that's part of the problem. Where do you have space or capacity?
Yeah.
You build your own, but we could certainly ask. I just
Yeah.
don't know if that would even be an option because the other folks are as full.
Now, I think you guys did Baytown when I was looking online, and Baytown's population was 40,000, and the animal shelter was 12,066 square feet.
Yes.
We're proposing 17,000 square feet. Do we need 17,000 square feet? That's my question.
It really all depends on how you're housing your animals, your length of stay for the animals, that we can take another step back. We can reevaluate that with you, look at your current intake, how the animals are coming in and how they're leaving the facility
Yeah.
on that. So that's often what we do. And I believe Animal Arts did that too, but we could take a step back and reevaluate their numbers as well.
Yeah.
And, trends change over time, whether, it's, increased adoptions, more fostering, things like that.
Yeah. So to me, there's two parts to this. One is you have option one, or option A, whatever you call it. And a lot of people came back and said, oh, an animal shelter can't cost that much to build. Well, it depends on what you throw at it. So one is making sure that the bid that we had before was fair and just. Then the second one is making sure that we're getting what Saginaw needs in an animal shelter. And so to me, when you go into things like this, you have requirements, and you got the things that's critical to have, the things you'd like to have, and the things you'd want to have.
Absolutely.
And the more you're away from that's not in your wheelhouse, and definitely animal shelters, things like that is definitely not in my wheelhouse, then it becomes very critical for me to understand what's absolutely critical that we can't skimp on. I mean, the animal shelter has taught me a lot in the last couple of years. We've talked like this, like the cages, both inside and the outside area. That's areas we can't skip on. If we do, we'll pay for it 1,000 times over, just in cleaning costs and things. So that's something to me. If you do go do this, as a council member, I absolutely have to have, is where can we make, and where should we make those trades? In other words, yeah, that'd be nice to have, but we can't afford that. And no, we absolutely have to invest in this part.
Absolutely. No, we agree with that. I mean, as you're looking at a facility, you're investing this much money in it, you want it to take you out 30 to 40 years from now. You don't want a facility that you're going to have to come back in and start doing retrofits here 10 years down the road. Unless it was an expansion, if the budget did not allow for it. We always design for expansion, all of our facilities, but you do want to look at the quality of the materials going into it, just for the health and welfare of the animals as well as the public. You want to make it an inviting facility to bring the public into this to help increase your adoption facility, no matter where it's located at. So we do look at that. We look at the spaces, like you said, the indoor-outdoor runs, so you do have that space to move the animals too. The other important things is the HVAC going into this, so you do have the proper air exchanges going into this, so you do have healthy environment, healthy dogs, so you can have the separation of your healthy and your sick animals. within that, and even, separation of your cats versus your dogs because of the stress level. So our ultimate goal is to reduce overall stress of the animals as well as increase the health.
Yeah, I know our animal shelter now, like, I've been over there a few times, and I understand why people don't go to our animal shelter to adopt animals. It stinks, it's loud, it's crowded, and I know that we gotta resolve that, but we also gotta keep in reason too. So that's why I get back to the requirements. And to me, part of it is, I'd really like to know, I mean, everybody talks about outsourcing things, this would be one. Okay, convince me that, and the way you do that is you show me, prove to me that we can't get into a joint venture with another city or a city and a private sector to handle this. Where we would we'd have our animal control, but then the animals would be then handed off to them. To me, I think we owe it to our citizens to at least look at that. I know we can't build one to fill every animal that's out there, because I don't think there's enough room in Saginaw to do that. The more we build, the more they come.
That's true.
So,
Most animal shelters fill up pretty fast.
They do. A lot of facilities do not hold just for the ordinance hold times. If there's space, they're not gonna euthanize
yeah.
due to space. They're gonna hold those animals longer. But
Right.
then they do become full, and then you do have that issue.
Yeah.
So we've done several. Pearland is one that we did where they never thought they would ever fill their facility because they designed it for extra.
Who was it?
Pearland, it's down by Houston, down close to Baytown.
How long did it take them to fill it up?
Well,
2
they had
weeks.
a major hoarding case, like
Of course they did.
within weeks of opening, so it was full.
I was thinking 6 months. They
Yeah.
did it quicker
No,
than
we gave it weeks, so.
6 weeks.
It's been stated before that as soon as you build one.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
full.
yeah.
You build them, they will come.
And you mentioned the expansion. I know you just, when I was going through your website, you guys did Louisville's. Did you do the original one for Louisville?
We did the original, and we're currently in the process of doing their expansion now. The main expansion was to do the vet clinic. That's usually what most facilities will delay on after their initial build. But we are also expanding their kennel rooms as well. City of Denton is another one that we're expanding right now. So they're growing, as well as Collin County. We just signed a contract with them to do their expansion. So they're adding about a 10,000 square foot adoption center to theirs.
So the one that you all built for, it had 44,000 people. I think it was like a little over 12,000 square feet.
For Baytown. Uh-huh.
Okay.
So they have, I believe the kennel-wise, they were close to 80 or 90 kennels within that one.
Okay.
And so we're sort of gone a little bit astray of the field here. Our question is, are we going to do option A and or option one and option two, both or either one with quorum? That's really what's on the table, and that's what she's here to discuss. So questions about option one and option two, I feel that we need to do both if we want the information that we have been asking and talking about for a while, and to compare with what we already have. So I think it would make a lot of sense to do both options, but what does council think? Mary, you want to go ahead?
First of all, since the 2027 date came up, I don't recall hearing that. And what that would cause is much more cost. So I think that would be off the table. And I agree with our mayor, option one and two would be important. We voted as a council to table this. For the public record, it's on the public record that I did not vote to table. I felt like we had a wealth of information already from experts in the field, our staff who has researched this very, very well, and our bond committee. So I feel like since there are people who do feel like we need more information, that's what these two options would accomplish. And I think the more information that all of us get, the more likely we can get started on this project. And I would urge anybody out there listening to this, go to the animal shelter and look at the situation as it exists and watch the bond election committee meetings that were all online. You will get a wealth of information from watching those. So we need to educate ourselves and understand what the situation is. And I think these two options would help us do that. Oh, one other thing, the January 25th meeting was really good because we had some excellent information specifically about an animal shelter. Our bond committee visited 3 or 4 animal shelters and learned a lot by visiting them, what to do, what not to do. And watching that meeting would help you all get more information too. Thank you.
So could, when you do this, say we vote for option A and option B, or option B is the big one, can part of your all's assessment and recommendation come back as to whether we should even have one, or should we attempt to do a joint venture with whoever it is out there?
We can evaluate some other areas with, that could be possible for Saginaw, if that's what you'd like.
I have commitment
Just to see
from
if
you
there's
guys
other-
that we'll give an honest look at that? Okay, because again, this isn't my wheelhouse, so to me, I just look at it as outsourcing. I always think you have to look and see whether it's beneficial. Maybe it ain't, I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
We can take a look
looking
at
for
that. We
information.
do have other needs assessments going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we could toss those ideas out to other facilities to see if that's something they could be interested in.
I'd like to, if we do approve this, which I'm in favor of, I'd like to see us have some options for expansion down the road. So we're not putting all this money up front at one time, to where, 10 years from now, or even 5 years, we can, if we need additional stuff, that we're able to add that to it.
So what, our population right now is what,
25.
25? And our max population is somewhere around 36.
Something like 35, 36.
35.
What we've been told, yeah.
So there ain't gonna be figure that in, but there's not. Yeah, I agree, it's okay, but I wouldn't spend, I guess it depends on how much it costs. How much more does it cost me to have that easy expansion? Because the way I look at it, we're pretty much built out. And,
We're not gonna have fewer dogs and cats, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish we were, but we're not. No matter people or not, people have a need for
yeah,
control.
well, that's right, and maybe not for this meeting, but at some point, no matter how big you build it, they're gonna fill it.
I agree.
And there's gonna have to be some uncomfortable conversations. We implemented TNVR, which has some very positive, but also has some negatives to it, right? So these are the things, but
No, I mean, we need to talk animal control from a broader perspective. than
That's right.
Just a building. A building is a piece of it, but it's not the whole.
Oh,
You're right.
absolutely.
I don't have any easy answers for that, though. Building is a pretty easy fix. The rest of it is very challenging, and
Yeah.
there's no easy answers.
Yeah, so the last thing before I decide how I'm gonna vote here on this is, as you go through this, can we get it a list of like major, like I said, the critical to have, must-haves, like-to-haves, need-to-haves? I'm sure you're familiar with doing it.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah, recently on City of Cibolo, we did a good, better, best options.
Yeah.
So we could do something very similar.
yeah, like that, okay, yours, with, because as you go through and do this, there's gonna be people who wants, like building a house, they're gonna want the $10 million house over in South Lake, and, not the nice house here in Saginaw. And that's what I'm trying to make sure is that we get the nice animal shelter for Saginaw.
Right. Yes, all of our facilities are built to last for quality. We never do the Taj Mahal of the
Right.
facilities, so we make sure it fits within the city well.
Okay, cool,
All
appreciate
right,
it.
any other questions, folks? Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming out. I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve option 1 and 2 for item 4A.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yes.
Mary, second. Please cast your votes. Motion passes. Thank you, folks. Item 4B, consideration action regarding approval of kitchen equipment purchase from Mission Restaurant Supply for Senior Center. Lee Howell, Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This item concerns one of the owner responsibility carve-outs on the Library Senior Center project. Again, during the design phase of the building, there was a number of options discussed on how to equip a kitchen. They're taking a lot of input from a number of people. The decision was made to go ahead and outfit a commercial-grade kitchen in the available space. So we proceeded to design, or the architectural design was centered around some specific pieces of equipment and some specific standards of commercial-grade equipment. So I solicited 3 bids, or 3 quotes. All quotes were based on state cooperative bidding contracts, and received 2 of those back. The one that's before you for your consideration is from Mission Restaurant Supply, which is located in White Settlement, or on White Settlement Road in Fort Worth. I've gone back and forth with them on a number of different versions of this, gotten it down to the presented equipment. There's a few other pieces of equipment that were on the list that I sent to you that are not on this list. Those are not part of the kitchen equipment. They are going to be outfitting the library employee break room. So there's about 3 other items on there that we'll have to independently purchase that are not commercial grade equipment on this quote. But this covers everything that would be installed by Byrne Construction during the final phase of the construction across the street. And this quote includes the shipping and delivery. There is one item on here that is still sort of in debate, but I went ahead, I didn't want to delay the potential approval of this because there's about a 4 to 6 week delivery estimate on a couple of these items. But one of the items, we're still having some issues back and forth between the construction guys and the construction company and the architects, and about whether to go with an ADA dishwasher in lieu of a particular size that the kitchen wasn't built for. So I say that to say that what I would ask you to consider after any questions that you may have is to approve up to but not exceeding about $85,000, and that should cover everything. The final expenditure will probably be less than that, but just want to make sure that we have everything covered when you approve it, if you do.
Questions for Lee?
Just a comment, I'm happy to see that everything's on casters. Being formerly from the restaurant industry, it's gonna make cleaning and maintenance a lot easier than if it was stationary.
So fulfilling our promise, we promised the seniors they would have top grade cooking equipment and an industrial kitchen, and so that's what we're providing. That's been a concern of theirs for many years. I've heard that from folks, that they want a better place to cook and do their own thing, and so this will certainly provide that.
Yeah, I know that we used to do preserving, things like that. I know the person who used to do that may not be available anymore. We're going to look at bringing other people in to continue those classes and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't specifically started to look for anybody, but we can. I'm sure that we can offer just about any kind of cooking class, canning, preserving class, or anything like that for anybody that would like to attend it. We certainly would be equipped for that.
When we looked at, or we worked with TCC, Tarrant County College before, with some of their folks coming in, that certainly would be
Oh, that'd be
a
good,
possibility, yeah.
Yeah, my big thing is I don't want to put it in and it sit there and it
No.
look good and gather dust.
Absolutely, you're right, 100%.
We may be able to get the Hollenstein people
Yeah.
to come in and do some stuff too.
No, absolutely, that's what I'm saying. If we're going to put it in, I expect it to be used
Yeah.
a lot. That's an
Needs to be.
awful nice
Set up.
range.
Yes.
Like to have that in my house.
Are there any other questions for Lee? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, make a motion, we approve item 4B not to exceed $85,000.
Okay. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Valerie, second? Please cast your votes. Motion passes. Thank y'all. Thank you, Lee. All right, thankfully, executive session is not required, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Valerie? Paul, second?
I guess I need to vote.
Mary, do you vote? You're not green. Okay. Motion passes. So at 6:36, we are adjourned. Thank y'all.